Hi, I'm Steve. You can call me Steve. When I was, about 14 or so, I went to a wildlife presentation at a provincial park near my hometown. The biologist had a selection of reptiles on display, mostly lizards and snakes and turtles, because the other types of reptiles, like crocodiles, are a bit of a handful for one guy who also needed to keep track of lizards and snakes and turtles, or like the Cheetara, didn't live in the country, or on the continent, or even in the hemisphere. However, because I was able to answer a question about the Cheetara, it's a lizard-like critter that lives in New Zealand, I was able to go up and hold the snake. It wasn't very big, maybe a couple centimeters across and 15 to 20 long. That's 6 to 8 inches for the metric impaired. It wound itself around my fingers and seemed perfectly content just to hang out there. It didn't try to bite me, and it wasn't slimy. Its scales were dry and quite smooth. It was perfectly harmless and not in the least bit frightening. I should point out that I handled the snake under the direction and supervision of a wildlife expert. Care was taken to ensure that neither I nor the snake came to any harm from the experience. The snake was too small to swallow me whole or wrap itself around me and crush me. And it wasn't venomous. A quick side note, there is a difference between poisonous and venomous. If you bite something and die, it was poisonous. If it bites you and you die, it was venomous. If you bite it and it dies, brush your teeth more often. There are 17 families of snakes, and only 2 of them are venomous, plus a few other species outside those 2 families. Most of them live in warm, tropical areas, away from the places that YouTube analytics tells me that most of my viewers live. If a snake isn't venomous, it's most likely not a danger to you. In fact, you are far more dangerous to it. If it is venomous, it's still not a danger to you unless you make it so. Snakes do not want to bite you. You're too big and probably not very tasty. However, they will bite if you give them sufficient cause. If you see a snake in the wild, don't futz with it, and it won't futz with you. That way, if it's venomous, it won't harm you. And if it's not venomous, you won't harm it. Like I keep saying, there's a difference between fear and healthy respect. Show the snakes respect, and they will do the same. If you live in Canada, like I do, you're highly unlikely to encounter a venomous snake. If you live in the Okanagan, like I did, you're more likely than the rest of the country to encounter one, because the Okanagan hosts 2 of Canada's 4 endemic venomous snakes, the northern Pacific rattlesnake and the desert night snake. When I was out walking in the interface fields and forests near my home, I could sometimes hear what I imagined were rattlesnakes shaking their tails. I never got bitten, and do you know why? Because I never went and bothered them. They were mostly hiding in the long grass or the shrubbery, and I heeded their warnings and didn't go stomping into their hiding places. I also used to live in Australia, home to 9 of the world's 10 most venomous snakes. Again, I didn't get bitten because I didn't go looking for snakes to futz with. Well, that and none of them live near Brisbane, but had I visited the places where they do live, I wouldn't have gone looking for them to futz with. Or at least my parents would have stopped me from doing that because I was 7, and 7-year-olds are skilled at making poor decisions. So what do you do if you are visiting a place where venomous snakes are common, and you encounter one? First off, don't futz with it any more than you have to. Unless you step on it without seeing it, it's probably going to give you some warning that it's not happy before it bites. Heed that warning and back off slowly. Find something to do or somewhere to go that's nowhere near the snake. If you find it in your living space, don't futz with it, call a professional. If you do get bitten, first off, it's your own damn fault. Secondly, seek medical assistance. Most hospitals should stock anti-venom for local snakes. If you grew up in a place where venomous snakes live, you probably already know far more about them and how to deal with them than I do, so I wouldn't presume to lecture you. There is another type of snake that can pose a danger to humans, and that's the constrictor. You might know of the boa constrictor or the anaconda. Some of these snakes get large enough to crush and kill an adult. They live in tropical jungles in South America and Africa. Again, if you don't want to run afoul of them, don't go to where they live and futz with them. Show them respect, but not fear. Those are snakes. They're much more varied and fascinating than I've covered here. Odds are, if you see one in the wild, it won't be venomous and you still should not touch it. Just watch it go about its business for as long as you can, because it's pretty neat to see them move around without legs. If you do get the chance to handle one under careful supervision, I would advise taking that chance. If you are scared of them, it might help you get over it. If you're scared of them and absolutely don't want to, I won't think less of you, because I can imagine my reaction if somebody told me to go pet a spider. Thanks for watching. I've been Steve.